364 days, I counted them. Every single one. Not approximately, not roughly, exactly. I had a calendar in my hooch that I made myself on my third day in country. 365 boxes drawn in pencil on the inside cover of a paperback book someone left behind, The Old Man and the Sea. Hemingway. The book fell apart after 6 months in the humidity, but I kept the cover, kept it dry in a plastic bag, kept it safe, kept it like a Bible. I crossed off one box every morning at 0600 hours. Black marker, Sharpie. The fat kind that didn't dry out in the heat, thick X. Permanent, deliberate. A small ritual that meant I survived another day. 364 black X marks covered that calendar now. A grid of survival. One empty box left. Tomorrow's box. Tomorrow I get on the Freedom Bird. Tomorrow I leave Vietnam. Tomorrow I stop being a tunnel rat. Tomorrow I become a civilian again. Tomorrow I go back to the world. Tomorrow I stop being Staff Sergeant James Kowalski and become Jimmy again. Just Jimmy, the kid from Pittsburgh who worked at his dad's hardware store. Today I have to go into one more tunnel. I stood outside the entrance at 0547 hours. The sun was barely up. The heat wasn't crushing yet. Give it 2 hours. By 0800 it would hit 95. By noon it would be over 100. November in Vietnam. The monsoon season was ending. Less rain. More heat. Everything was a trade-off. Kowalski, Lieutenant Morrison said. He was standing 3 feet from the tunnel entrance. The entrance was small, maybe 2 feet wide, maybe 2.5 feet tall. A hole in the ground. Red clay. Dark inside. Empty looking. But nothing in Vietnam was what it looked like. Yeah, I said. My voice sounded flat. Dead. I'd been awake since 0400. Couldn't sleep. Lay in my hooch staring at the ceiling, listening to the others snore, listening to the generators hum, listening to my own breathing, counting hours until this moment. This is the last one, Morrison said. He was 23, West Point, class of 68, smart kid, good officer. He actually listened to enlisted men. That was rare. Most lieutenants came over here thinking they knew everything. Morrison knew he knew nothing. That made him smarter than most. Just this one. Then you're done. Then you're out of here. Then you're on that Freedom Bird and all this becomes a memory. I know, I said. You don't have to go down, Morrison said. He was wearing his soft cover, no helmet. His uniform was relatively clean. He'd come out here specifically for this, for me, to see me off, to give me the option to walk away. We can send Jackson, or Ramirez. They're both qualified. They've done tunnels before. They know the protocol. They know the risks. How many? I asked. I already knew the answer. I kept track. When you're a tunnel rat, you keep track of how many tunnels everyone's done. It's competition. It's survival statistics. It's knowing who to trust if you need backup. Jackson's done 7, Morrison said. Ramirez did 3. Good ones too. Both came back clean. No incidents. No casualties. I've done 42. I said. This makes 43. Exactly, Morrison said. He stepped closer, lowered his voice, like the jungle was listening. Maybe it was. You've paid your dues, Kowalski. You've done your time. You've done more tunnels than anyone in the battalion, more than anyone I've ever heard of. You've earned the right to walk away, to let someone else take this one. I looked at the tunnel entrance. It was dark inside. It was always dark inside. That's what tunnels are. Darkness with walls. Darkness with purpose. Darkness, where men hide and wait, and plan to kill you. The VC were smart. They built these tunnels over 25 years, 3 levels deep, miles of them, hospitals down there, kitchens, armories, living quarters, an entire world underground. We had artillery. They had tunnels. We had helicopters. They had patience. We had technology. They had 300 years of knowing how to fight invaders. Someone else might die, I said. I meant it. It wasn't ego. It wasn't bravado. It was math. Cold math. I'd done 42 tunnels. I'd survived 42 times. I knew the tricks. I knew where they hid the traps. I knew how they thought. I knew the sounds. I knew the smells. I knew when to push forward and when to back out. Jackson had done 7 tunnels. That meant he was still learning, still figuring it out. 7 tunnels meant you were competent. 42 tunnels meant you were a specialist. The difference between 7 and 42 was the difference between textbook knowledge and instinct. Instinct kept you alive. I know what I'm doing, I said. I know the tricks. I know where they hide the traps. I know how they think. You know how some of them think, Morrison corrected. You don't know how this one thinks. Every tunnel is different. Every VC is different. Every tunnel is the same, I said. Dark, narrow, full of things that want to kill you. Morrison looked at me. His eyes were gray, tired gray. He'd been in country 8 months. That was long enough to lose the shine, long enough to understand that nothing made sense. Your call, Kowalski, Morrison said. But if you die on your last day, I'm going to be pissed. I've got paperwork to file, awards to write up. You dying today makes my job harder. If I die, I won't care if you're pissed, I said. Morrison didn't laugh. Morrison never laughed. The other guys were watching. Jackson, Ramirez, Washington, Cooper, Doc Martinez, Phillips. 6 of us standing around a hole in the ground. 6 guys above, 1 guy going below. Jackson was smoking a cigarette. He offered me one. Marlboro. I took it. Lit it with his Zippo. The Zippo had names scratched into it. 23 names. Dead friends. Dead acquaintances. Dead strangers. The Zippo was a memorial. A portable cemetery. Jackson would need a new Zippo soon. This one was almost full. I smoked the cigarette. Didn't inhale. Never did. I didn't smoke before Vietnam. Started smoking here because everyone smoked. It gave you something to do, something to hold, something that burned for exactly 4 minutes. I would quit when I got home. Quit smoking. Quit counting days. Quit flinching at loud noises. Quit all the things Vietnam made you do. I finished the cigarette, ground it out in the red clay. The clay was wet. It had rained last night. It rained most nights. The rain was warm. Everything in Vietnam was warm. I checked my gear for the 3rd time. I'd already checked it twice. At 0400 when I woke up. At 0500 when I gave up trying to go back to sleep. Now at 0547, checking gear was ritual. Ritual was control. Flashlight. Army issue. TL-12 4D batteries. I'd changed the batteries this morning. Fresh ones from supply. I'd tested the flashlight 6 times. It worked. It had to work. If the flashlight died in the tunnel, I died in the tunnel. 45 caliber pistol. M1911A1. 7 rounds in the magazine. 1 in the chamber. 8 bullets total. I'd cleaned the pistol last night. Oiled it. Checked the action. The pistol was manufactured in 1943. World War II surplus. My dad carried a 1911 in the Pacific. Okinawa. He came home. Maybe the gun was lucky. I'd been in tunnels where I fired all 8 rounds. I'd been in tunnels where I didn't fire any. You never knew. Kabar knife. 7-inch blade. For close work. For when the pistol was too loud. For when you had to be quiet. I'd used the knife twice. Both times were ugly. Both times I tried not to think about. The knife was clean. I cleaned it every night. Gas mask. In case they pumped in tear gas. In case they pumped in something worse. The VC were creative. They used everything. I'd used the gas mask 4 times. 4 times I would have died without it. Rope. 50 feet. Tied around my waist. Professional knot. Bowline. A knot that wouldn't slip. If I died down there, they could pull me out. The rope was insurance. The rope was hope. I was 5 feet 4 inches tall, 138 pounds. Small. That's why I was a tunnel rat. You had to be small. The tunnels were built for Vietnamese men. Vietnamese men average 5 feet, 3 inches. I was 5 feet 4 inches. Close enough. In high school they called me Shorty. I was the shortest kid in my graduating class. In basic training they called me midget. Not creative. Cruel in the way soldiers are cruel. In Vietnam they called me mole. Better than midget. Mole implied function. Mole implied specialty. Mole implied respect. I didn't mind being small. Being small kept me alive. Being small meant I had a job. Being small meant I had a job. Being small meant I crawled into darkness while everyone else stayed in light. Remember the protocol, Morrison said. He always said this. Every tunnel, every time. You find something, you back out. You don't engage unless you have to. You mark the location. We blow it later. Clear, clear. I said. I'd heard this 42 times. And Kowalski. Morrison paused, looked at me. His gray eyes were serious. Don't do anything stupid. Don't be a hero. You're going home tomorrow. Don't fuck that up. I'm going home tomorrow. I repeated, like a prayer, like if I said it enough times it would be true. I got on my hands and knees. The ground was red clay, wet, slippery. I looked into the tunnel entrance. Just darkness, just black. I turned on the flashlight. The beam was yellow, weak. It reached maybe 10 feet into the tunnel. After that, darkness again. I crawled in. The tunnel was exactly 2 feet tall. I measured it with my body. My back scraped the ceiling. Not hard, just consistent contact. My knees dragged the floor. The floor was hard-packed earth, smooth in places, rough in others, wet everywhere from last night's rain. There was no room to turn around. That was important to remember. Once you committed to going forward, you couldn't turn around. You could only go forward or backward. Forward meant finding whatever was down here. Backward meant giving up. Both were acceptable. Both were tactical decisions. The air was thick, humid. It smelled like earth and decay, and something chemical. The VC used these tunnels for everything. They lived down here. They cooked down here. They stored weapons. They treated their wounded. They buried their dead. Sometimes they left bodies down here. The smell was always the same. Organic, inorganic, living, dead. Everything mixed together. I crawled forward, 6 inches at a time. That was the rhythm. Move your right hand forward 6 inches. Move your left knee forward 6 inches. Move your left hand forward 6 inches. Move your right knee forward 6 inches. Repeat. Repeat until you found something or decided to back out or died. The flashlight was in my left hand. The pistol was in my right hand. The rope trailed behind me. I could feel it pulling slightly. 50 feet of rope weighs 2 pounds. 2 pounds pulling backward. Not much. Just enough to feel. Just enough to remember you're not alone. The tunnel went straight for about 20 feet. I counted. I always counted. Distance was important. Distance was how you mapped the tunnel. 20 feet forward meant 20 feet back. Simple math. Then the tunnel turned right. 90-degree angle. Sharp corner. I paused at the corner. Corners were dangerous. Corners were where they waited. VC knew Americans couldn't see around corners. Knew we had to commit. Knew we were vulnerable. Corners were killing zones. I paused. Listened. The sound of my breathing was loud. Too loud. I could hear it echo. In, out. In, out. If someone was around this corner, they could hear me breathing. I moved the flashlight around the corner first. Slow. Checking the walls. Checking the ceiling. Checking the floor. Looking for wires. Looking for pressure plates. Looking for anything that didn't belong. The VC were masters at booby traps. They'd been fighting invaders for centuries. Chinese, French, Japanese, now Americans. They'd learned everything that worked. Nothing. I turned the corner. The tunnel continued. Still 2 feet tall. Still narrow. Still dark. My breathing was still loud. Still echoing. 20 feet past the corner. I found the first trap. A punji stick. Bamboo. Sharpened. Maybe 6 inches long. Pointing up from a small hole in the floor. The hole was maybe 3 inches in diameter. Just big enough for the bamboo. Just big enough to be invisible unless you were looking. If I put my hand there, the bamboo would go through my palm, through the bone, through the tendons, through the nerves, out the other side. I'd seen it happen. Specialist Peters, 2 months ago. He screamed for 40 minutes straight. They pulled him out of the tunnel. Medivaced him. He lived, but his hand never worked right again. Medical discharge. Disability payments. The rest of his life with a hand that didn't work because he put it down without looking. I marked the trap with chalk. White X on the wall, right next to the hole. The chalk was in my pocket. I always carried chalk. The white X meant trap here. Don't die stupidly. I moved my hand 6 inches to the left, avoided the trap, kept crawling. The tunnel sloped down, going deeper. I was maybe 15 feet underground when I entered. Now I was 20 feet underground, maybe 25. Hard to tell. No reference points. Just darkness and dirt and slope. The rope pulled tight. 50 feet. I'd reached the end. I pulled on it 3 times. The signal. Need more rope. I waited, counted to 10, felt the rope go slack. They were feeding me more. Another 50 feet. Enough to keep going. I kept going. The tunnel got narrower. My shoulders scraped both walls now. Tighter. More confined. Harder to breathe. The air was getting thinner. Less oxygen. More carbon dioxide. Breathing my own exhaust. I slowed my breathing. Controlled it. In through nose. Out through mouth. Slow. Steady. Don't panic. Panic kills. My heart was beating faster. I could feel it. Hear it. The pulse in my ears. Thump, 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 thump. Louder than my breathing. If someone was listening, they could hear my heartbeat through the earth. Through the walls. Through the darkness. I kept crawling. 30 feet past the rope junction. I heard something. I froze. The sound came from ahead. Soft. Rhythmic. Regular. Not mechanical. Organic. Breathing. Someone else was in the tunnel. I turned off the flashlight. Immediate total darkness. Absolute. Complete. The kind of darkness that makes you question if your eyes are open. The kind of darkness that disorients. That removes all reference. If I couldn't see them, they couldn't see me. That was the logic. That was the hope. I waited. Counted to 60. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3 Mississippi. The way you count for lightning. 60 Mississippi. 1 full minute in total darkness. Listening to someone else breathe. The breathing continued. Steady. Calm. Not panicked. Not aware. Not the breathing of someone who knows an enemy is nearby. The breathing of someone relaxed. Resting. Maybe sleeping. My hands were shaking now. Both hands. The flashlight trembled. The pistol trembled. I couldn't control it. Adrenaline. Fear. 364 days and my hands were shaking worse than they ever had. I turned the flashlight back on. Kept it pointed down. Just enough light to see my hands. Just enough to orient myself. Not enough to announce my presence. I crawled forward. Slower now. Inches at a time. Not 6 inches. 2 inches. 3 inches. Minimal movement. Silent movement. I became an animal. Became pure instinct. Became the thing that hunts in darkness. The breathing got louder. Closer. I could hear the rhythm. In, out. In, out. Deep breath. Sleep breathing. 20 feet. 15 feet. 10 feet. The tunnel widened slightly. Not much. Maybe 3 feet instead of 2 feet. Enough to be noticeable. Enough to be a chamber. Chambers were rare. Chambers were deliberate. Chambers meant someone designed this space. Someone wanted more room here. I crawled forward. 2 inches. The flashlight beam showed more space ahead. A chamber. Maybe 6 feet by 6 feet. Maybe 8 feet. Low ceiling. Maybe 3 feet tall. Tall enough to crouch. Not tall enough to stand. A man was sitting against the wall. VC. Viet Cong. Black pajamas. Standard uniform. The kind that made them invisible in jungle. Sandals. Ho Chi Minh sandals. Made from tire rubber. AK-47 across his lap. He was asleep. His head tilted forward. His breathing deep and even. The breathing of someone exhausted. Someone who'd learned to sleep in impossible places. Because sleep was survival. He looked young. Hard to tell in the weak flashlight beam. Maybe 19. Maybe 20. Young like me. Old enough to kill. Old enough to die. Too young for either. I could shoot him. 1 bullet. Center mass. He would die without waking. Without knowing. Without fighting. Quick. Clean. Efficient. The tactical choice. The smart choice. The choice I'd made before I raised the pistol. Aimed at his chest. The chest was the largest target. The chest contained vital organs. Heart. Lungs. Shoot the chest and you killed efficiently. My hand was shaking. It never shook. I'd done this before. I'd shot VC in tunnels before. I'd shot them in chambers. I'd shot them in their sleep.
I'd shot 13 men in 42 tunnels, 13 confirmed kills. My hand never shook. It was shaking now. 364 days. One more to go. One more day and I was done. I was out. I was home. If I shot him, the sound would echo. Sound traveled in tunnels. Sound amplified. Sound announced. The gunshot would echo through every passage. If there were others, and there were probably others, VC traveled in groups. They would hear. They would come. They would investigate. They would find me. They would trap me. I was deep. I was alone. I was vulnerable. The rope was my only escape. Backing out was slow. They could catch me. They could kill me. If I didn't shoot him, he might wake up. He might hear me. He might see the flashlight. He might shoot me. I would die on my last day. I would die one day before freedom. I would die with one empty box on my calendar. I aimed at his chest. My finger touched the trigger. The trigger was cold. I thought about Mike Patterson, 20 years old, from Harrisburg, wanted to be a high school English teacher, stepped on a mine during patrol, died instantly. That was September, 3 months ago. Feels like 3 years. I thought about Dwight Jackson, squad leader, 2 tours, from Detroit, died trying to help someone, always died trying to help someone. That's what leaders do. I thought about all the guys who didn't make it to day 364. The man's eyes opened, just like that. One moment closed, next moment open. No transition, no warning, just eyes opening in the flashlight beam. We looked at each other, 3 feet apart, in a hole underground, in darkness barely pushed back, in a war that neither of us chose. 2 small men, in a small space, deciding who lived and who died. He didn't move, neither did I. His hand was on the AK-47, resting, not gripping, not ready, just there, casual, the way you rest your hand on something familiar. My hand was on the pistol, gripping, aiming, ready, finger on trigger, pounds of pressure away from firing. First one to move died. That was the calculation. That was the game theory. First one to move gave the other one time to react, time to aim, time to fire. We stayed frozen. His eyes were brown, dark brown, almost black in the flashlight beam. Wide eyes, alert eyes, young eyes, scared eyes, eyes that understood the situation instantly, eyes that knew death was 3 feet away, eyes that had seen death before, eyes that didn't want to see death again. I looked into those eyes, those scared brown eyes, those human eyes. He was someone's son, someone's friend, someone who had a home, a family, a life outside this tunnel, just like me, just like everyone. Tomorrow I would be on the Freedom Bird. Tomorrow I would leave Vietnam. Tomorrow I would stop being a killer. Tomorrow I would try to become human again. Tomorrow I would try to forget what I learned about myself in these tunnels, about how easy it was to kill, about how killing became routine, about how you stopped feeling it. But if I killed this man, this scared young man with brown eyes, I would remember him forever. He would be number 14. He would be the last one. He would be the one I killed on my last day. He would be the face in my nightmares. He would be the eyes I saw every time I closed my eyes. I didn't want that. I didn't want to carry him home with me. The man's hand moved. Slow, deliberate, telegraphed, away from the rifle, away from threat, away from violence. He raised both hands, palms out, fingers spread, universal gesture. Surrender. Please don't shoot. I'm not fighting. I'm choosing life. He was surrendering, to me, to the American tunnel rat, to the enemy. He was surrendering because he wanted to live, because he was scared, because he was smart enough to know that pride was worthless. If he were dead, I lowered the pistol, slightly, not all the way, just enough to show I understood, just enough to show I was listening, just enough to show I might not kill him. He nodded, once, small movement, head dipping forward. Thank you, I understand. I won't move. I nodded back, smaller movement, even more subtle. You're welcome. I understand too. I won't shoot. We stayed there, 3 feet apart, 2 men who should be killing each other, 2 men who chose something else, something that wasn't in the manual, something that wasn't tactical, something that was purely human. Time stretched, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 30, hard to tell. Time worked differently in tunnels, in darkness, In the space between life and death, I started backing up. Slow, inches. Keeping the light on him, keeping the pistol ready, not aimed, not threatening, just ready, just in case. He didn't move, just watched me, just let me go, just sat there with his hands raised and his eyes wide. I backed up 6 inches. He didn't move. Another 6 inches. Still didn't move. Another 6 inches. Still nothing. 20 feet, 30 feet, around the corner, out of sight. Then I turned around and crawled as fast as I could, back to the rope junction, back up the slope, back past the punji stake, back to the first corner, back to the entrance, back to light, back to life. My knees were bleeding. I could feel the wetness. My back was scraped raw. My hands were shaking worse, both hands trembling. I didn't care. Pain meant alive. Pain meant moving. Pain meant escaping. I crawled faster, the fastest I'd ever crawled, 42 tunnels, and this was the fastest, because this was the last, because tomorrow existed, because I chose mercy and mercy meant I deserved tomorrow. I emerged from the tunnel gasping, gulping air. The sunlight was blinding, painful. I couldn't see anything, just white, just light. Someone grabbed my arm, pulled me out, pulled me up, pulled me away from the hole. What happened? Morrison's voice, concerned, alert. Did you find anything? Weapons, supplies, personnel? Nothing, I said. My voice sounded strange, hoarse. Empty tunnel, dead end, just dirt. It wasn't a lie. Exactly. It was tactical information. It was need to know. It was protecting myself, protecting him, protecting the VC with brown eyes, protecting everyone. Morrison looked at me. His gray eyes were evaluating, calculating, trying to decide if I was lying. He looked at my hands, shaking. He looked at my knees, bleeding. He looked at my face. Whatever he saw there made him stop asking questions. You okay? You look like hell, Kowalski. I'm fine, I said. Standard answer. Fine meant functional. I'm done. I'm out. I'm finished. You're out, Morrison confirmed. He said it officially, like declaring it made it real. No more tunnels. You did your time. You did 43 tunnels. You're done. You're going home tomorrow. I sat down in the red clay. My legs wouldn't hold me. They were shaking too. Everything was shaking. Some kind of full-body tremor. Some kind of delayed reaction. Jackson handed me a canteen. Water. Warm water. Everything in Vietnam was warm. The water tasted like plastic. It tasted like chemicals. It tasted like life. I drank, gulped, couldn't get enough.
Washington sat down next to me, lit a cigarette, handed it to me. I took it, smoked it. This time I inhaled. The smoke burned. Nicotine hit. Head rush. Last tunnel, man, Washington said. His voice was casual, friendly. How's it feel? Like I can breathe again, I said. True, more true than he knew. What was it like down there? Dark, I said. Just dark. Washington nodded, accepted the answer, didn't push. He understood. Some experiences couldn't be explained. That night I couldn't sleep. Again, I lay in my hooch staring at the calendar. 364 black X marks. One empty box. Tomorrow's box. The hooch was hot. Always hot. Fans didn't work. Fans just moved hot air around. I lay on my cot. The cot was canvas. Army issue. Uncomfortable. I'd slept on this cot for 364 nights. Tomorrow I'd sleep somewhere else. I kept seeing the VC's eyes. Brown eyes. Young eyes. Scared eyes. Human eyes. The way he looked at me. The way I looked at him. The choice we both made. In training they taught us that the enemy was the enemy. Simple. Clear. Binary. Kill or be killed. No mercy. No hesitation. No humanity. The enemy was other. The enemy was thing. The enemy was target. But in that tunnel, in that moment, humanity was all we had. 2 men who didn't want to die. 2 men who chose life over orders. 2 men who recognized each other as human before recognizing each other as enemy. I wondered if he made it out. I wondered if he told anyone. I wondered if he was lying somewhere right now, thinking about me, thinking about the American who let him live, thinking about mercy in a war with no mercy. I wondered if I did the right thing. Military said no. Military said I should have shot him, should have reported the contact, should have marked the location so they could blow it. Military said my job was killing enemy, not showing mercy. But humanity said yes. Humanity said you saw a scared young man. You saw yourself. You saw the possibility of choice. You chose life. You chose mercy. You chose to be human and of soldier for one moment. I wondered if there was a right thing. 364 days I survived. 43 tunnels. Countless traps. Endless darkness. I survived by being smart, by being careful, by being willing to kill, by being good at killing, by being efficient at killing. Today I survived by being human. Maybe that was the real victory. Not killing, not survive, but staying human in a place designed to strip humanity away. Staying human in a place that rewarded inhumanity. Staying human when humanity was tactical weakness. I got up, walked to the calendar, picked up the black marker, the Sharpie. I drew a thick X through day 364. Box left. Tomorrow I would X out the last box. Tomorrow I would get on the Freedom Bird. Tomorrow I would leave Vietnam. Tomorrow I would stop being a tunnel rat. Tomorrow I would go home. Tomorrow I would carry that VC's eyes with me forever. That moment of shared humanity in absolute darkness. That choice to live instead of kill. That moment when I chose to be human instead of soldier. I put down the marker, lay back down, closed my eyes. For the first time in 364 days I slept without nightmare. For the first time in 364 days I slept deeply. For the first time in 364 days I slept like someone who'd earned it. I stood at the bottom of the stairs leading up to the C-14 Starlifter, the Freedom Bird, the plane home, the end of everything. The plane was massive, gray, military gray, the color of everything, Army, 4 engines, swept wings, rear cargo ramp. The plane could carry troops or equipment or vehicles. Today it was carrying troops, soldiers going home, soldiers who survived. My duffel bag was at my feet, OD green, olive drab, everything I owned, everything that mattered. It wasn't much. Clothes, photos, letters from home, the calendar with 365 black X marks, proof I survived. Lieutenant Morrison came to see me off. He didn't have to. Officers didn't usually come to see off enlisted men, but Morrison came, because Morrison was good. He shook my hand. Firm grip, professional, but also personal. You made it, Kowalski. I made it. 43 tunnels, 365 days. You're a legend. They'll tell stories about you. The tunnel rat who did 43, the guy who survived them all. I'm just small, I said, deflecting, the way enlisted men do. You're alive, Morrison said. Different emphasis. That's what matters. You're alive. You're going home. That's victory. I picked up my duffel bag. Heavy, 70 pounds of life. I started up the stairs, metal stairs, temporary stairs. Each step brought me closer to leaving. I stopped, turned around. One last thing, Lieutenant. Yeah, that last tunnel, the one from yesterday. What about it? Morrison's gray eyes focused, alert. Maybe leave it alone. Maybe it's not worth blowing. Maybe there's nothing valuable down there. Maybe we should focus on other priorities. Morrison looked at me. Long look, understanding look. He knew. He didn't say anything, just nodded. Slow nod, deliberate. Understood, Morrison said. We'll focus elsewhere. That one can stay as is. Thank you, I said. Thank you, Kowalski, for everything. For 43 tunnels. For surviving. For showing us what courage looks like. I nodded, couldn't speak, turned back to the stairs. Climb, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, up into the plane. I found a seat by the window. Canvas seats, military seats, uncomfortable. I didn't care. I looked out at Vietnam one last time through the small window. Red clay, green jungle, gray sky. 365 days of my life. A war I didn't choose. A job I didn't want. A uniform I couldn't wait to take off. A country I would never understand. The plane engines started. The roar was deafening. The vibration was total. The best sound I'd ever heard. The sound of leaving. The sound of escape. The sound of tomorrow. We taxied. Slow, ponderous. The plane was massive, but it moved forward, toward the runway. We lifted. The feeling of liftoff was unique. Weight falling away. Gravity releasing. Earth dropping. The moment when wheels left ground. The moment when you were no longer in Vietnam. You were in air. In transition. Vietnam disappeared below me. Getting smaller. Getting distant. Getting past tents. The red clay became brown smudge. The green jungle became texture. I watched it shrink. I watched it fade. I watched it become memory. I thought about the VC in the tunnel, the scared young man with brown eyes, the man who surrendered, the man I let live. I thought about the choice we made. War is about killing. Everyone knows that. War is violence. War is death. War is organized murder legitimized by flags and uniform. But maybe war is also about the times you don't kill, the times you choose life, the times you remember you're human, the times you act on that memory, the times you prioritize humanity over orders. I survived 365 days. I survived 43 tunnels. I survived Vietnam. But that day in the tunnel, that moment with the VC, that choice, that was the day I saved myself, not by crawling out alive, by crawling out still human. The plane flew west, toward home, toward the world, toward civilian life, toward tomorrow, toward whatever came next, toward healing, or breaking, or some combination, toward the rest of my life. I closed my eyes. I was done being a tunnel rat. I was done being mole. I was done with darkness. I was going home, and I was bringing mercy with me. That mercy was heavier than my duffel bag, heavier than my rifle, heavier than everything. But it was mine. I earned it. I chose it, and I would carry it for the rest of my life.